What if you could increase your rental revenue per rental unit without having to put up much, if any, effort at all? Would you? In this podcast, I interview Patrick Dudek with Valet Storage. And while storage may not sound like an exciting topic to discuss on a podcast, you will definitely want to tune in as we discuss how a product like Valet Storage can add value to your rentals and increase your revenue on a per rental unit basis, all while requiring little to no effort or investment on your part. TenantCloud is not connected with Valet Storage, and this is not a paid interview or advertisement. Our goal is to simply continue to provide incredibly valuable information to our listeners and help you to continue to grow your rental business in the most efficient way possible. And I believe that the information in this podcast may help you do just that. Stay tuned, and we'll get started in just a minute. Hi everybody, my name is Chris, and I want to thank you for joining us for another value-packed TenantCloud podcast. If you want to be a more informed, better educated, and successful landlord, then stay tuned. With over a decade of property management experience, we bring you short and sweet, bite-sized pieces of incredibly valuable property management tidbits in 15 minutes or less. If you want to just start by giving a little background maybe about yourself.
So my name is Patrick Dudek. Originally a Chicagoan, and I moved out to San Francisco and then found my way to Austin, just pursuing a lot of different tech jobs. For me, what I love to do is where the product kind of meets your marketing side. So on Valet Storage, I work with the product team, which really blends with everything down to the emotion that you get when you use the product. Every single different thing. What we really do is try to have like this cohesive image between how the product looks, how it feels, and that comes down to how the customer's satisfied. So what we do with the marketing and the product team is really work hand in hand on that. And my expertise is kind of as close to the tech side as you could get without having a technical background. And so kind of like you mentioned, being able to iterate on different product features and things like that from the lens of a consumer, is super valuable. Some companies kind of look at, a couple different angles, or it's hard to kind of separate what, the ambitions of what a company wants versus what a customer might see, or what might work best. So what we try to do at Valet Storage is really flip that mold and be very consumer centric, and really try to reinvent or invent the product based on what works best from a consumer side.
You always have two perspectives, right? You have the user perspective, the customer perspective of their daily routine job or whatever task they're trying to accomplish. But then on the software side, you have a product that's continually trying to innovate and move forward and create something new and bring value to the marketplace. But sometimes those don't always line up. And so it's like trying to get those, make sure that what you're building is actually what your customers want. And sometimes that's harder said than actually done, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And we try to kind of keep an ear to the ground on that and really listen, what our customers need. And just for background on Valet Storage, we started about 3 years ago with the idea of we're in the storage industry, but what we want to do is separate, self-storage, and I like to think of self-storage as not really too much of a sexy market, and people use it because they have to, and there's not much loyalty between brands there. What we wanted to kind of reinvent is we're a tech company that solves space solutions versus just providing you with storage. So some of the things that we do is have to educate the market, because our business model is we'll provide our customers with different storage bins, a certain number of bins. You get 5 or however many, and you can pack those up. We'll bring them to your place. You pack them up, and we'll take them away and store them for you. And everything is inventoried online to the point where you can select that you want your winter stuff or your golf clubs or different items almost a la carte versus having to get everything back. So in terms of like two different customer segments, what we're really doing is reinventing how traditional self-storage works. However, there's this new market where self-storage as a whole is, ephemeral items that you get back quickly, or different items, that are kind of small or short term, are really lacking in a self-storage, community. You want to go drive over to your storage to go get a bicycle that you use once a week. So what our business model does is kind of being that Uber type of service or an Amazon type of delivery element to the storage, is that, when you want something back, even if it's one bin, one certain item, even if you use it once a week, we want to be able to do that for you. So really providing more space and decluttering your life is what we shoot for.
So that's kind of like a digital closet in a sense. Then you guys are like, so it's like a butler, like going to your closet and pulling out what you want and bringing it to you. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And as that blurs into what works so well with these apartment complexes and different property managers type of business, is that you're offering more space. So if you have a condo or a flat, or your apartment is, your second dwelling, to be able to have this virtual closet that within, a day you could click a button and get an item back or something back, is just tremendously valuable.
And how long, like, just for operational question wise, how long does it take, like, from the moment that I click a button saying I want to get this back, how long does it typically take you guys to get something back to somebody?
So we have a few different options. What we trialed and what we found works best moving forward is to be able to provide different options for different people. So if you imagine what everybody's used to, like your Amazon Prime type of thing, if you are, we don't want to put up a barrier where you've got to pay every time you want something back. So if you plan ahead, or you're a college student, or that you're going to your lake house in a week, and you click, I want my lake house items back, they'll get there in a week for free. If you want something on demand, you want day, same day, there's options to satisfy that. So we kind of have that tiered where it's really easy for the consumer. It's, something that they know. It's kind of just exactly how you would imagine, checking out on Amazon would work.
That's pretty cool. So in a typical application, who are the people that are using this? Are you a business to business, or do you do direct to consumer? What's kind of the structure for your business model?
Definitely a couple of those different sectors. So absolutely, business to business is something that's great for us. Also, the ability to deliver to multiple locations. So if you imagine, if your items are in one office, it's very tough to move them to another office, versus if you have them with this delivery service that could go here, or you're a contractor or a yoga studio and you have classes different places, you can have those items delivered right to your class, and at the next day picked up and put back in storage and brought to the next place. So B2B is something, even small businesses, startups, different things like that, versus, all the way up to, again, the long-term and short-term storage is something that we satisfy. So if you're just having, papers sit in storage for a while versus something that you want back frequently, that's great for B2B. Also, different homeowners who just want a simpler solution to self-storage. Nobody likes to make the trips. So we do have customers who will store things away for 3 months and, not even get them back, or for longer. We definitely have customers in different apartment complexes that use that business more freely, like the example of, different rain gear or different things like that they'll want back kind of on a routine basis.
When it comes to service areas, are you guys just in one city right now, or where is the service primarily operational in?
Right now, we are based out of, we are operational in Austin, in the greater Austin area. We do intend to expand later this year. We have the infrastructure to do so in terms of partner storage facilities. So what we do is that you're not able to access your belongings yourself. And so you every time you get your items, it will be through the Valet Storage delivery service. And reason being is for security and the ability to scale and just work better for everybody. If we had the ability to go in and collect your bin, we wouldn't be able to give you these discounted rates because we'll bulk your items and put them together where a secure Valet Storage employee knows to access those. Everything's scanned, inventoried, and you could follow your item from pickup all the way to storage and back to you. So that all kind of works with that. So yeah, at the moment, the greater Austin area, we do have those storage partnerships to be able to expand outside of that.
Been involved in the property management industry long enough to know that there are plenty of scenarios where there's a ton of customers out there for that type of service. It's an interesting solution to a unique problem that a lot of people have. That, as far as I know, there's not been a national solution out there that I'm aware of. There may be, but prior to Valet Storage, but it's a very unique solution to an issue.
I appreciate it. Yeah, there's definitely a few regional competitors in the space across different areas of the United States.
Mm-hmm.
What we like to think is a big differentiator is our model to we don't just want to be an alternative to self-storage, and that's what some of these companies are doing. It's self-storage plus delivery.
Sure.
We want to make your life easier and simplify it. So hopefully, and it's more broad than just store your stuff, different things like that. We really want to make that utility where, like I said, yoga studio example is, you have a class at a certain spot, and because it's booked online, we know that you need your yoga mats at that location at a certain time, and they're there for you. You don't have to have those in your house. You don't have to, do anything else. They'll be there when you arrive at your traveling yoga spot, and when you're done with it, they're back for you. So it's almost like this virtual closet, like you were saying, that enhances your life, declutters it. It's a minimalistic living, so you don't have to have many things in your house. And that next wave of the business is, working with you on that to say, let's go ahead and give people suggestions, give people tips for how to best fold your clothes and how to best do these different things that improve your life. So it's not like we're just going to say, great, we've got your stuff in storage, let's let it sit there and, make money. It's going to say, hey, you haven't touched these things in 3 months. Is there something you want to do with that? There's a lot of different ways that we just want to continue adding value to the consumer versus, just a short-term profit.
Sure. And just out of curiosity, and you may not know the answer to this question, but what's one of the most challenging scenarios or problems that you guys have come across, either with a customer experience or just in the industry that you're in, or whatever it may be?
I would say right now it's one of the pertinent problems that is really nice that we're talking right now is a solution that we just launched to this is scaling. Makes everything more efficient, right? So when Uber got started, the saturation is a problem. If you have one Uber driver in a city, it's a lot tougher than if you have a network of people ready to go. So in comparison to what we're dealing, what a problem that arises and a solution that we offer to that is we want that saturation of customers where it's not just one-off, right? Because that's inefficient for our drivers. It's inefficient for different elements of the business. And so really bridging that gap and creating partnerships with different apartment complexes and large residencies is a solution to that problem as a whole. So what we've launched recently is a part of the business called the amenity tier. and it's the same services that a customer could log on to our website and get, only bolstered up for apartment complexes. So similar to how an apartment complex would offer valet trash or valet waste, excuse me, or a gym membership included. When you sign your lease, and you see you're looking for a lease, you're seeing the perspective or the amenities that building offers. It's going to say, hey, you have this on-demand storage, which equates to more square footage for you. And so signing up whole apartment complexes, something that we've been definitely pursuing very recently, where everybody who signs up has the ability to have 5 bins, that they can lock down to their concierge, or they could get, delivered right up to their room, pack their bins, and each Monday or each Tuesday, there's going to be somebody picking those things up and dropping them off for you.
That's one of the things that I see pretty common in the property management industry, which I think you're talking about, is they're constantly looking for ways to, especially in more competitive markets, to offer value adds to the actual property itself.
Right.
And whether that's in the form of a service or a feature of some type or amenity on the property that people can take advantage of. But nowadays, all the communities, they're all getting built with pools. They all have fitness centers. They all have this, they all have that. And so they're always trying to maintain that edge for their marketing to present value for their property to the person who's coming to tour, so that they can get that lease over the one down the street. And so I think that what you're saying, correct me if I'm wrong, is that by offering a service like this as a value add to your renters, that's just one more way that you're able to lock in that lease for your property.
Absolutely. I think some of the term win-win might be thrown around a little too much, and sometimes there's a loser in the win-win scenario. But in this example, yeah, really what we're doing is, for the property managers to be able to offer an amenity that's extremely valuable, that people either know that they have this problem, or once they realize that this service is offered, they go, oh my gosh, this is great. I don't need to, I could buy a paddleboard, or I don't need to have my paddleboard taking up room in my closet. All kinds of these different things. To be able to know that you have that right at your fingertips at any time is just tremendously valuable to the property manager. And then at the same time, to the to the residents themselves, is to be able to use a service like this is great. On the property manager side, property management side, being able to not have to build with storage in mind. Some of the new properties going up are allocating different space for in-house storage, versus having a service that and you can trust that will have your items there and back when your customers need them. And just like you guys focus on great design and great UX and usability on your product is kind of the same thing, where you can go on the app and you're seeing a virtual closet right there for you. Is just tremendously valuable for everybody involved. In terms of different residences that already have storage that are underutilized, a great part of our business is that we're very flexible to be able to fill that space. So almost if you think of the ability for Valet Storage to borrow space in a open apartment complex, or in a storage facility inside an apartment complex that's underutilized, and to be able to offer our services where the property manager is actually able to earn a revenue by working with us. So that's what we've started. The amenity tier is not just offering a service that the property manager has to pay for, but one that they could make money on top of. So you're offering a great service that the customer loves, and you're able to make up to about 40% profit on top of just because you've offered the Valet Storage service to your residents.
And what would you say if there were, let's say you had a customer who you believed would benefit from this service? What's the number one objective or objection that you guys get for somebody who says, I just don't think it's for me? What would that be?
Yeah, I think that hiccup, because we are such a we don't fit in the mold of, hey, we're self storage. The education of the user to say, try out the product, and you're going to love it, because people don't know that, if something is in storage, it's out of sight. They forget about it. There hasn't been a service where you could, open your phone or open your computer and see a closet, where you're, in a resident in a home, where your garage could be free, in an apartment complex, or a condo, where your house could be decluttered because you have these products ready to go. So getting people trying our product is definitely the biggest, I guess, challenge you could say, or disadvantage to such a new idea. The market doesn't have that knowledge to say, oh, I know how that works already.
Sure. If I were in, if I were still a property manager of the complexes that I've managed in the past, and a rep from y'all's company were to walk into my office and try to sell me on it, I don't know. That'd probably be my objection to initially. Be like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's gonna work, because that seems a little too easy almost. Actually, like, you just pick stuff from a digital closet and just have it sent back. I mean, it's awesome, but at the same time, it's like, is that really how it works? Like, what are the strings to this process?
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, again, even the education to, we work with, this bin right here. So if you don't have a visual of how these bins work, and you don't know that, trying to describe it to a property manager in a pitch and say, okay, like, here's how it works. You're going to get, you get these 5 bins, and in their head, it's like, okay, what is this? How does that work? But to be able to see the product, and use it and say, oh my gosh, I can stuff that with all kinds of stuff and be able to store that away. It's kind of like, once you use it, once you see it in action, that's the difference maker right there.
Yeah.
Which is what we've been trying to work on with the amenity tier rollout, is to be able to say, okay, your customers, your residents, how to best, reach them, how to best talk to them. They have, their own apartment portals that they use. There's all these different things. So that education, we like to work with the property managers on, educating their residents on that. So to be able to trial a product, or not have to, a property manager doesn't have to say, hey, let's offer all 100% of our units, 5 bins. We offer a couple different options where a property manager could say, hey, I just want to cover 25% of my building, 25% of my 100 units. I want to make sure that they could have 5 bins ready to use, because they've been asking for storage, and kind of get your foot in the door, get the product rolling, because, we know it delivers at that point. And, they could upgrade to covering 50% of their building. They could upgrade to covering 100% of their, residents at any time, you know, very easily.
So as a property manager, one of the follow-up questions I would probably have for you, and I don't want to take up your whole day, but I feel like you're giving a lot of valuable information and insight into the product. But just thinking from the perspective of a property manager or a landlord, one of the key questions or the key things that I want to accomplish by offering something like this is usually, how do I get a cut of the pie? Like, if I'm going to offer this to my tenants, obviously I'm going to try to implement it into my rental and get some type of revenue out of it. And so is there a program that you guys have built in for property managers for that? Or is that just something that they would just charge their residents directly and then they pay you guys a fee? Or is there a login portal that they have access to that's like branded for the property management company? Or how does that work, if that's even an offering?
Yeah, you nailed it, a couple of those. So with the amenity tier, we reinvented our service to say, let's not try to go a la carte to these different residents around town. Let's offer our service at a bulk to property managers, at a discount, tremendously discounted at a bulk. And they're able to add that into a month's rent, either without a resident even seeing that. If it equates to $30 a month or whatever that is, that's very small in terms of how those discounts work, where they sign up and all that stuff is kosher. Or just charging the residents a certain amount, like $30 a month, for what we would charge. On top of that, a property manager is able to make about 40% profit on top of that offering. And so what you're able to do is, yes, if you want to cover 100% of your building, we do that tiered option that I was talking about. So you can cover 25% of your building, 50% of your building, or 100%. If you do 100% coverage, we're going to give you that biggest margin discount. You're able to offer that service, at a very low market value, and then anything that you upsell that for, that profit is yours. We control that through a property manager portal. So we have a very sleek rollout. I'll be able to share some of these assets with you, and we could definitely pop them into some videos and some different things that you use this podcast for, and pass it on to your property managers that watch the show and that use product. So yeah, they have their own portal that's easy to track how much money they're making on top of this. It'll show them different segments for how much money you've made this month, total this year. By offering the service, there's an easy way to track all your residents and add them. There's a simple sign up where you add the name, email address, unit number, and start date of their lease and end date of their lease. And you click add, and they're in our system ready to go. The resident will receive an email with a link to sign up, and they're in our service directly. We like to say powered by Valet Storage. So you'll be able to, in the customer's mind, this is an amenity that's provided by the apartment complex, and it's a strength for them. It's a differentiator between other people who don't offer the service, and it's all run by Valet Storage. So there's a lot of different metrics that we add to that portal too, where you're able to see that out of who's storing, not who's storing what, but how active the service is being used by different residents, some different things like that, just to help better use the service.
Yeah, that's interesting. So at the very least, there's a direct financial benefit to the property manager or landlord by offering this type of service.
And that's is it too good to be true kind of element, because it's like, wait, you're saying I sign up for your service, and if I implement it and my customers use it, whether it's included, kind of like Valet Waste is every resident has it, or a gym membership or a parking type of thing. All I do is I provide the service to them, and I'm able to make money on top of that by offering a benefit, and an awesome service to my residents is like a no-brainer. So
yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I know of plenty of people in my property management experience, a lot of tenants that would definitely have loved a service like that, because a lot of the properties that I managed, they were units, they were properties that we had renovated, and so they were a little bit older properties, and even though they had all the modern amenities because of our renovation, we were still limited by space in these older rental units, and so there wasn't a lot of storage. And one of the top questions we always got at these properties was, do you have storage units that I can rent, or is there storage on the property, or do you have garages? And the answer was constantly no. And I can't tell you how many leases I probably lost because I didn't have any storage. I didn't have the capacity for storage on my rental property. So by being able to offer something like that, to be like, yeah, we do actually, it's actually a Valet Storage, and it's only $20 a month or $30 a month or whatever I charge them, and then I take the cut off the top. I mean, that would have been amazing as a property manager to be able to add that on. And as a property manager, they're always looking for ways to increase the rental revenue for their property per unit. And we get creative with things like reserved parking spots and garage rentals and covered parking and stuff like that. But this is something so simple. It doesn't even require any capital up front on the property manager's side to invest in any type of development on the property or any type of renovation. They're literally just offering a value add service to the customer. And that is huge for property managers and landlords alike, just even landlords of smaller rental properties. I'm sure some of them could figure out a way to work with you guys on that. To me, it's huge. I see the value in it. And I think that a lot of people listening to this podcast will find a significant amount of value in some of the things that you've been talking about. It sounds really cool to me. Don't want to take up any more of your time. I know you have probably as busy of a schedule as our property managers and landlords do. But definitely appreciate you taking the time to give us some insight into it. I purposely did not do much research on your company because I wanted to hear it from you and be able to ask questions as blindly as possible, to kind of get a feel for what it's like to learn about it firsthand, from somebody speaking on it. So I feel like you did a pretty good job of that. And I think that just from a property manager's perspective, it's a huge value add to my rental properties, to be able to offer to people. And so definitely appreciate you taking the time to provide that information, and hopefully our users have benefited from learning some more about this type of product. And we'll post the link to your website and stuff in the podcast. So if anybody wants to go and check it out, the link will be in there, so you don't have to worry about remembering that.
Great. Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you so much for having me on. And, definitely you gained a new listener. I'll leave your property managers with, if they want to email me as well, patrick@valetstorage.com is
awesome.
The way to do that.
Very cool. Awesome. Thanks, Patrick.
Thank you.